Steven Universe and all associated images are property of Cartoon Network, Rebecca Sugar, and any and all other respective owners. I don't know them all. All footage in this video has been used for the purpose of critique parody under fair use. Please support the official release. Alright, so this is going to be something of a theory compilation. Not a full one, not a 3-theory video, but a 2-theory video. I ended up doing this for a very specific reason. I have a bit of a follow-up I want to give to a previous theory, but it's not enough of a follow-up to justify giving it its own video, so going with this format instead allows me the opportunity to talk about that follow-up as well as talk about a theory that just didn't have enough to it to warrant its own video either. I'm going to go ahead and start with the latter, and this is actually one that I'm really excited to talk about. This is an idea that's been bouncing around the Steven Universe fandom for quite some time now. Steven, just like the other gems, is not a true immortal. The definition of an immortal is a being that is incapable of dying, and Steven even has a couple of additional potential methods of dying that the other gems don't possess. He could die of injuries to his physical body, since his physical body is not just a hologram, and he could also potentially die of aging. However, it is likely that the latter would ever be true, assuming that Steven didn't want to. The episode So Many Birthdays confirmed that Steven can control the aging process, and not just cosmetically either. When Steven became an old man in that episode, he was suddenly afflicted with all of the weaknesses of a real old man, including the very real and immediate threat of dying of old age. This means that his aging power did literally age his body. It didn't just make him seem older than he was, and yet he was able to reverse it, telling us that even if he aged into an old man, he could become a child again and wouldn't be any worse for wear. So assuming that Steven doesn't want to die of old age, he won't. But that begs the question, what happens to his loved ones if he makes this choice? I could see Greg growing old and passing away before Steven even has to consider this possibility for himself, so I'm not counting Greg in this particular thought experiment. So that leaves us with characters such as the Gems and Connie. The Gems also can't die of old age, so there's no worry there, but Connie most definitely can. And assuming that Connie and Steven's relationship is going in the direction that the show seems to be suggesting that it's going, I can't imagine Steven wanting to outlive her. As far as I can tell, that leaves him with 3 options. Either he can grow old with her and die, or he can go about one of 2 methods of prolonging her life. The first of those options is to turn her into a pink being like Lars. And Lion, of course. Taking Lion as an example, he is much, much older than a regular lion, and yet he doesn't seem to be any physically different. Assuming that he was one of the lions in the pride that was following Rose around in Buddy's book, he doesn't seem to have aged a day. This suggests that the pink beings, like Lars and Lion, are either ageless or something close to it. Maybe they even have the ability to regulate their age the way that Steven does. Connie being turned into one of these pink beings is a way to prolong her life, but I can't imagine Steven ever going through with that intentionally. He might try to use his resurrection powers on her should she die in combat against Homeworld Gems, for example, but I cannot imagine him killing her so as to resurrect her, or some other such thing. So while it is possible that this might occur, should something unfortunate happen to Connie, I see the final possibility being the most likely of the 3. That being that Steven will prolong Connie's life using his own aging ability by becoming a permafusion with her, much the way that Ruby and Sapphire have become a permafusion. That Garnet's recent mentorship of Stevonnie will be taken to its most logical extreme. Stevonnie will become a permafusion, and Steven and Connie will live on past the end of Connie's regular lifespan as Stevonnie. Honestly, I think that this is the direction that the show has been going for a while now. In my eyes, Garnet's recent mentorship of Stevonnie, such as in Mindful Education, for example, when she passed knowledge of how to live as a fusion down to Stevonnie, only serves to confirm this idea. It's a really interesting thought to, well, think about. At this point, thinking about it is all that's left to be done because I don't really have more to say about it, so let's jump right into the second topic that I wanted to talk about today. That being something that you guys actually brought up in the comments of my recent theory about how Steven's healing powers work. Some of you guys pointed out that my theory doesn't account for Rose's healing spring, and that I in fact neglected to talk about the spring at all. And yeah, I did, and I have no reason for doing that. It just completely slipped my mind. I actually really wish it hadn't, because it manages to tie back into my old Rose conspiracy theory. If I am right, and Rose's healing power, now Steven's healing power, does work via the use of holographically created nanites, then it makes sense that Rose's healing spring somehow does the same, and that just doesn't seem possible. Unless we assume that the source of Rose's healing spring, or at least the nanites that are delivered by Rose's healing spring, is one of Rose's plant gem hybrids. I supposed in my old Rose conspiracy video that Rose was experimenting to create new gems without harming the host planet. We have, after all, seen plants that Rose was said to have planted and tended herself bloom into flowers with gemstones already inside them. I don't think it's much of a stretch to assume that one of Rose's experiments was to create a plant gem hybrid with a gemstone. stone that was programmed to replicate her healing ability, that was programmed to replicate the nanites that she uses to heal people, and that she placed it upriver of her healing spring so that those nanites could be delivered via the waters of that spring. It is really astonishing to me that this slipped my mind the first time I was going through these ideas, because you guys know how much I love to refer to my past videos. But either way, there you go, that's my answer to that question, and therefore that is both of today's theories covered. Focusing primarily on the Stevani aspect of this video, because that was the primary focus of this video. Guys, what did you think of any of the ideas that I presented here today? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.